peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Very good morning to you, and thank you again for joining us. This is the People's Court. My name is Miriam Ogutu, and our topic of discussion this morning is based on what we've been seeing happening lately, where the money factor has become part of the Kenyan politics. Does it help, or does it help to divide Kenyans further? So that will form the basis of our conversation right now. And just to help me out in this conversation, I'm joined by Sharon Gitonga from Nairobi. Sharon, a very good morning to you.
Thank you very much, Miriam, and a very good morning to you back at the headquarters in Nairobi. Good morning to my colleague, panelist Samuel Tawish, and to all our viewers watching us, whether it's the morning, afternoon, or evening. It is a pleasure to be part of the People's Court conversation. Good morning.
Very well, good morning to you. And also we are joined by Samuel Tawish, a journalist from Nairobi. Tawish, a very good morning to you.
A very good morning indeed to you, Miriam Ogutu. Good morning to Sharon Gitonga, as well as all our viewers watching this program. My pleasure to join you on this program.
Nice to have both of you. Now we know that aspirants have increasingly been donating money to fund youth groups, women groups, and all kinds of groups, including now the border riders during this campaign season. And the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, in a Gazette notice, revoked its earlier notification on campaign contributions and spending limits in the 2022 general election. The regulations that were contained in the Election Campaign Financing Regulations 2021 had capped spending for presidential candidates to 4.4 billion Kenya shillings over the campaign season, while political parties were given up to 17.7 billion Kenya shillings to splash in their campaigns. The expenditures were tabulated based on population, landmass. A single source contribution to candidates or parties was also limited to 20% of the respective schedules. And we know after politicians made noise about it, all that was rubbished. But we still do know that according to the law, the IEBC has the mandate to regulate the monies being spent on our campaign. So there are headlines in the morning on two newspapers that I told you we shall be looking at right now. And the Standard newspaper, the story is on page 8, and this in line with the recent skirmishes we saw happening in Kisumu that were linked by allegedly campaign money that were given to a section of residents there that did not sit very well. That is according to police reports, and that so the chaos that happened when the Deputy President William Ruto was visiting that region last Wednesday. Page 8 of the Standard newspaper. Cash donations by Deputy President William Ruto have caused excitement among crowds attending his rallies. The DP has not only contributed donating money for the youth and Mama Mboga to boost their businesses, as he puts it, but his troops are also under pressure to donate generously at fundraisers. MPs and other leaders in his UDA party are bearing the strain that comes with attending the DP's funds raising meetings, as Murang'a Senator Irungu Kang'ata learnt a few weeks ago. He was chided for donating of 40,000 Kenya shillings, which was considered too low for someone aspiring to run for the governor's seat. Police claim disagreement over money is to blame for the chaos witnessed in Kondele, Kisumu last week during a tour of the DP to the region. According to police spokesperson Bruno Shioso, disagreement over distribution of campaign logistical funds among local groups was to blame for the chaos that saw the DP's motorcade stoned. Police claim they had warned the DP of the simmering tensions ahead of his visit to the area, but the DP's team, however, denied the claims made by police accusing the force of playing politics. At the coast, police sources indicate that some youth in Mombasa are still protesting against politicians who failed to give out all monies the DP donated to them a few weeks ago. Critics argue that the dishing out of money may be counterproductive for the DP because of the backlash from those who missed out the expectations of handouts from his large support base of unemployed youth. On the issue of giving out handouts, mobilization fee, was it a bribe, or call it by any other name? It is not new in our Kenyan politics, Samuel Tawish. So why does it seem different this time round?
Thank you so much, Miriam Ogutu, and of course, my colleague, panelist, Sharon Gitonga. Indeed, Miriam, we will say that Kenya is in a very interesting season. A season where even the IEBC, which is supposed really to crack the whip, is supposed to take action against individuals or politicians that are actually perpetuating this vice, or who are going against the law in as far as use of money or excess of it in campaigns and trying to bribe and induce voters is concerned. It is unfortunate because even as we speak today, Miriam, not that we are following all the campaign or campaign regulations, because the politicians in the first place aren't supposed to be campaigning as we speak now. They are supposed to be campaigning as from May next year, that is in 2022. But if you are a visitor in Kenya today, you'll be forgiven to make a conclusion that perhaps we are having election tomorrow. That is why you see our politicians crisscrossing every part of the country doing campaigns as though the election day and the election day is just the next day. This is very, very unfortunate, Miriam. And when you talk about the use of money, this is something that IEBC should actually be able to crack the whip on individuals who are spending so much, not even on logistical front, but they are spending so much really to bribe and induce voters to really in their favor. Because, Miriam, the reason why they even say that presidential candidate must have a ceiling of 4.4 billion Kenya shillings in an election is these monies are supposed to make sure that you are able to print the T-shirts, you're able to print your caps, you're able to do logistics in terms of foiling the cars you're using. You're able to maybe even to pay the secretariat, because there will always be that secretariat. You're able to give allowances to the people who accompany you to these political rallies during those times of political campaigns, and not necessarily giving the electorates or voters really money in form of empowerments, as they call it nowadays, because someone just comes and says, I'm giving border borders 2.5 million Kenya shillings to try and empower them. I'm giving Mama Mbogas this much to try and empower them. And that is not really what is supposed to be done. When you do that, Miriam, it amounts to bribery. It amounts to inducing voters really in your favor. So in itself, really, it disadvantages even the other candidates in as far as this election is concerned, because what then will it be for a case of a person who does not have money to give to electorates, say for empowerment, as now they're giving it a euphemism. But what we know from where we sit, this is more of a bribery. You are giving these people this money so that they can be able to vote for you by the end of the day. And I think basically Deputy President William Ruto has been very notorious on this, giving and dishing out money in every stopover, in every meeting he's having, in any campaign rally he's having. It is even making it look awkward for other presidential candidates really to go and be able to marshal, say, an almost a level playing field or even support from the same electorates, because they'll be asking, the deputy president was here the other day, he has given us 2 million or 5 million. What is it you are giving to us? So we are building a very bad culture in this country where the electorates will not be able to listen to any of a potential candidate or a person who has very good credentials when it comes to leadership, simply because they have no money to give to you. But yet when you look onto other qualifications, when you look onto other credentials, away from not having the money, these are people who should be leading us in the first place. So we are setting a very bad precedent, and it's unfortunate that even the institutions which are supposed to be on the lookout, which are supposed to rein on politicians and political parties that are perpetuating this vice, are sitting pretty and just watching such kind of happenings, Miriam, amidst us. And the reason why we are having a ceiling in the first place was not necessarily because politicians should not spend, but because it was envisaged to try and curb any loopholes or infiltration by, say, even foreign agencies, people who will want to bring down this country, people who will want to take over this country, of course, with a faceless, in a faceless way, by using politicians in the country and giving them money to be able to induce voters to vote in a particular candidate. And by the end of the day, we may not have a country. So these are some of the things we really need to ask IEBC, why it is sitting pretty and watching such kind of things really happening. So this is something that must be spoken about, Miriam. It's a very dangerous trend, especially this time around as we head into 2022. I've never witnessed the use of money, maybe during the Moi era, I'm not very sure, because maybe during those days I wasn't born, or even if I was born, I wasn't quite in a position to be able to make a judgment in as far as how monies were being dished out. But looking onto this particular season, Miriam, as we head into 2022, it's a very dangerous pattern, and it must be stopped. Otherwise, we are going to have people really induce and make voters decide not on the basis of policies and agendas these people have for the electorates in this country, but because of how much they are able to give in form of bribery. You remember a case of Moses Wetangula when his election was overturned in Bungoma County, I think after the 2013 general election. He just had a cup of tea with a few electorates, I believe. And it was, the IEBC. Someone went to court, I think it was Muskari Kombo, went to court and overturned the election of Moses Wetangula. He had to go back and face the electorates in a by-election simply because he had a cup of tea with the electorates, and it was presumed to be trying to bribe these voters ready to vote for him. So how come that this time around we are seeing people going around dishing out large sums of money, but nobody is saying a word, especially even these institutions that are supposed to be vigilant and on the watch out? It's very unfortunate, Miriam. I submit.
Okay, nobody's saying a word, but Kitui Governor Charity Ngilu had so much to say about the donations on Friday. I don't know if you watched that rally in Makueni County.
But Miriam, Charity Ngilu is just yet another politician. I suppose I want to hear what Chebukati is saying. I want to hear what EACC is saying. I want to hear what the taxman, KRA, is saying. Because if you are able to donate a record 6 million Kenya shillings in one weekend, say in one Saturday, or even one Saturday and a given Sunday, the taxman should come out and ask these politicians, where are you getting this money in the first place? Let alone even refuse.
All right. So what I'm hearing you to be saying, there are some institutions that perhaps could go further and investigate the source of these monies. And so somebody seems to be sleeping on their jobs. Sharon Gitonga, the issue of money donations, especially around electioneering period, is not something new in the Kenyan politics. And but this time round, it seems to be different. So why do you think this is so?
Thank you very much, Miriam, for that question, and of course, Tawish, for your sentiments. Well, they say money, is a root cause of all evil. So in this case, I look at it as a double-edged sword, and it's quite unfortunate that our politicians have actually, decided to actually capitalized on politics, whereby, for you to actually say something, you have to give something. And, coming from the deputy president, camp, the cronies actually said it is not bribery, it is actually empowerment. And I find this quite ironical. Why? And if it was actually empowerment, from where I sit, I think it would have been made, privately. You don't have to shout in public and say, I am giving, 2 million to the Boda Bodas, or, 2 million to the Mamambogas. You can actually do it, privately, if you are really, with the interest of the poor at heart, and if you really want to, to empower them, as they say, because at the end of the day, the criteria that is actually used to, ensure there's, a homogeneous distribution is actually the biggest elephant in the room, because if you actually just announce, you see, like on Kondele, I saw a clip of the Boda Bodas in Kondele actually saying that they are yet to receive the money that the deputy president actually said he had given. So the criteria that is actually used to make sure that there's a homogeneous distribution of this money is the biggest problem. And what impact, I'm actually trying to understand what impact does it actually cause, apart from, starting the violence and chaos. And as much as you are telling people to stay at home, if you actually do not support a certain candidate, you understand we are actually a struggling economy. Looking at COVID-19, so many people, have been pushed to the walls with nothing to put on their tables. So if they actually hear someone is giving out money, they will just go. Whether they actually support this candidate or not, they will just go. And that is something that the deputy president and his cronies are not, being able to understand. They think for them this is a strategy, but, people are just there for money. And, it's quite unfortunate that this is actually not going to, translate into votes. When I look at in terms of sustainability, it is also, you actually realize that this is actually a short term, because they actually say, when I give you fish, I will feed you for that day. But what happens if I actually show you how to fish? I will have fed you for a lifetime. And this is something they're actually not putting into consideration. If I give you that 1,000 or 500 today, what happens tomorrow? How will I have solved that? If you're calling about empowerment, as they keep on saying, I think it's time they actually look into giving a long-term solution. I also look at what actually the deputy president is doing this time is something that the Wezo Fund, talk about the Youth Enterprise Fund, the Women Enterprise Fund. These are institutions that are actually governed to ensure that they actually distribute these resources to the grassroots. If anything, because he's actually in the government, he should together with his fellow MPs, they should actually be explaining to the people where does this money go, why does it make it so hard to access these monies, because they are actually meant to do whatever that he's doing. So I think for them, these are very, very bad optics, and on ground these are going to be different. People should be wise enough to actually know that, not to be swayed by politics of handouts or any kind of euphoria, and get someone who's actually able to to analyze issue-based politics and not personal politics. So at the end of the day, I think it's a matter of optics, and if this is a strategy that they're actually using, it's quite unfortunate. This is not going to translate into any votes, because every person is going to just show up because the money is being dished out. Thank you.
Very well said, and a couple of very important issues there you've raised, Sharon Gitonga. Thank you so much. Issues to do with sustainability. Is it sustainable dishing this money out every now and then, and wherever Deputy President William Ruto goes, and other leaders, but he's the one who has been using this strategy. And also the issue of structures that are not in place, like when he goes wherever he goes, he will announce, I've given 1 million Kenya shillings to the Mama Mboga. I could be just passing there, and then I decide I'm also Mama Mboga, I want to get part of that money, because I don't know if they have a roll call or names or a structured way in which they know this money will be given to the people that have been targeted by these kinds of donations. So in return, we see the chaos that we've been seeing in parts of this country, as others are happy to receive. And then for those who have not been able to be given, like we saw what happened in Kondele, there's bound to be some chaos there. We're also joined right now by Douglas Kirimi, all the way from Meru County. Douglas, a very good morning to you.
A very good morning to you, Miriam Ogutu, and to my co-panelists, Resisana Talwish and Sharon Gitonga, and also to our crew at our headquarters in Nairobi. Thank you, Miriam, for having me on the show.
Nice to have you today. And of course, I'm sure you've been listening to what Tawish or Lesasina there has said. I don't know if it's Sasina or I don't know the other name. Tawish, you will tell me. And what Sharon there has said. And we're looking at the issue of the money factor when it comes to Kenyan politics. And does it help or does it further divide Kenyans, as we've seen in the recent past, even acting as a means of incitement to chaos to the general public? And so the stories on page 8 and also the front page, on page 8 of the Standard newspaper and the front page of the main headline on the Daily Nation that forms basis of our conversation this morning. And as we look at MPs and other leaders in his UDA, that is Deputy President's party, bearing the strain that comes with attending the DP's funds raising meeting, as Murang'a Senator Irungu Kang'ata learnt a few weeks ago. He was chided for donating only 40,000 Kenya shillings, which was considered too low for someone aspiring to run for the governor's seat. So they're saying you've been walking around with the DP, and you're part of his team, so you can't come here and bring us 40,000 Kenya shillings, because wherever you go elsewhere, we hear you and the Deputy President issuing 1 million Kenya shillings, 2 million Kenya shillings. So he was chided for giving a small donation according to the people there that he was donating to. So is it, in the long run, is it now also becoming not just, something else for other Kenyans that he's donating to, but also a burden to the people associated with him, Douglas?
Thank you, Miriam. And on the issue of the money factor in a campaign, or maybe in the political process in this country, this is something that affects me also directly as a politician and every other politician in this country, and even in future. If my sons decides to run for office in this country, like Oresisana Talwish was saying, it is very difficult for you to run for president, MP, governor, senator, or MCA in this country, or senator in this country, without having to go on a routing spree so that you can come and give out handouts and give out monies in Arambes and all that. You can imagine, Miriam, like Oresisana was saying, no matter how good your transformative ideas are, no matter how great your ideas are, in Kenyan political process today, if you do not have money, that is nothing to any voter in this country. And that process of giving handouts and giving huge amounts of money in Arambes and also fundraisers in this country, or any other process in this country, has been able to turn our country into a fundraising site, and also has made the Kenyan voter a cartel. It has made the Kenyan voter a cartel such that they cannot listen to you if you do not have money. If you do not give them money, anything that you have told them, it becomes, in quote, water and soil. It doesn't get anywhere, and they cannot be able to elect you on the basis of your transformative ideas or the plans that you have for them as a country. And this brings me to the question, was President Kibaki effective? Yes. Did he give handouts? No. Did he go to Arambes? No. Was President Kenyatta, for all the last 8 years that he has been in power, effective? Yes. Has he been able to deliver development? Yes. Has he been able to go on routing spree so that he can give money in Arambes and all that? No. Was President Moi giving handouts? Yes. Was he the king of Arambes? Yes. Did he develop the country? No. He turned this country into a fundraising site, and also turned this country into an handout economy. An handout economy that made Kenyans impoverished economically, politically, and socially, such that you can only wait for the president to pass by your area and leave 100,000, a million shillings, 500,000, so that you can share amongst yourselves money that was meant for roads, money that was meant for schools, money that was meant for centers. This country was turned into an handout economy, and we went from wherever we were when President Jomo Kenyatta died in 1978 to almost zero, because this country or this economy was turned into an handout economy. And this is what Dr. William Ruto has been doing for the last 4 years. This is what his associates or proxies have been doing across the country in the name of empowerment, in the name of giving handouts to people and empowering a generation of our people that have been accustomed to handouts. And this brings me to the question that you have brought to the floor, Miriam. When he was in Kondere, he said that I have left 500,000 that you can share amongst yourselves. I've left 1 million shillings here that you can share amongst yourselves. Have we seen Raila Odinga do that in the past? No. Have we seen the President of the Republic of Kenya, President Uhuru Kenyatta, do that? No. President Kibaki? No. Have we seen Moi do that? Yes. But we need to also compare our times when Moi was in power, when Kibaki was in power, and when President Uhuru Kenyatta is in power. The handout economy or the handout mentality as pushed or exposed by the people in Asra Nation that is led by Deputy President William Ruto is a mentality that cannot be able to take this country forward, and that is dividing the people of Kenya. And even churches where he goes fundraising, Miriam, when he gives 1 million shillings, money is lost, pastors lose their roles as pastors, members split, those churches split, and those construction sites never take off because money was brought and money was sucked off the church coffers and all that. Miriam, if we can be able to concentrate on something, structured development that can be able to take this country forward, we can be able, number one, to take this country forward without necessarily relying on these people who are turning this country into an handout economy. And one thing that I also believe, I believe that this country, Miriam, cannot be able to develop when we have people or leaders that continue giving handouts to the people. Money has turned the African voter or the Kenyan voter into a strong cartel. And this is something that we need to avoid in the coming general election. People like myself may never be voted in this country. Why? Because I do not have a lot of money to pour around. I don't have handouts to be able to give out. And many ideas will be buried in the political processes of this country, not because they were not effective or good. It is because they have not rooted any public office for them to be able to give out such handouts. If it were a matter of handouts and people that can be able to give a lot of money, William Ruto become the next president of the Republic of Kenya in the morning at 6 a.m. But I'm granted the people of Kenya are becoming more enlightened every day. We are bringing these issues to the fore, and the people are seeing the right, and that they cannot be able to build a country with rooted funds that are rooted from their own taxes. Miriam, I submit. Thank you.
Okay. Now, at the coast, according to this story on the Standard newspaper, at the coast, police sources indicate that some youth in Mombasa are still protesting against politicians who failed to give out all monies the DP donated to them a few weeks ago. So what do you think will happen the next time the DP goes to the coast and wants to meet the same team that is disgruntled, Tawish?
Miriam, it's going to be very, very funny and difficult for Deputy President William Ruto. Difficult in the sense that, these people he purports to be empowering, the border borders, the mamambogas, the downtrodden, and other categories of our people in the society, are now going to task him really to be giving out this money, probably directly. Because when you come to a political rally or event and you say, I've given out money to so and so to be able to give out to you later, and by the end of the day, people get, a raw deal. Maybe they don't get that what they expected or that which was announced. Say, for instance, the Deputy President, while in Kondele, he did say he's giving 2.5 million Kenya shillings, if I'm not wrong, to border borders, and an almost similar amount to mamambogas for empowerment, as he puts it. And maybe the next day, the people who he has tasked to give out this money don't come up with the same amount, or they come up with excuses, or they do not even come up completely. So what will it be next time if Deputy President William Ruto was to visit same places? You've given just a case of, I think, Mombasa. We saw what happened in Kisumu the other day. There was also an incident which happened, I think, in parts of northern Kenya, where border borders almost, rival groups almost clashed. And I think there's a very big disagreement even as we speak now. They almost wanted to stop Deputy President William Ruto's event in the northern part of Kenya. I cannot quite be able to remember whether it was in Moyale, Marsabit, or where. But we do not want this kind of culture, Miriam. A culture where people just believe they have to be paid for them to get out and vote for their leaders. Because, Miriam, we threaten our future. We are threatening the future generation and that of our children. Because when we do this, then we will not be at liberty really to decide who becomes our president, but we'll be doing this simply because so and so has given me money. So and so is able to rise to the occasion and be able to give me a few coins and not the other people. We want leaders who come out with tangible policies, tangible agendas, how they are able to make a turnaround in terms of our economy, how we are able to really to make ends meet on our own. And when leaders who are at policy level are able to make policies and laws that are convenient enough, or those that people can be able to do their businesses or go about their daily lives without much of interruption. But when you come out and give people, dish out money to people every other day and hope that this is going to be sustainable, I can quite bet, Miriam, that we'll have ourselves to blame. In any case, if something goes wrong, assuming for heaven's sake, the people of Kenya or Deputy President William Ruto becomes the president in 2022 general election, he will have every reason to not even do any developmental activity in most parts of this country, because he will say, in any case, I bought my way to power. I gave you out money to vote for me. You didn't do this out of your own conscience. It was not out of your will, but I bought it. I bought my leadership. So we will not be able really to dictate or even ask this kind of leaders to provide essential service that we demand and ask of our leaders simply because they didn't deserve it in the first place, but they bought their way to power. So we are actually trying to play around with our future and the future of our children and that of our children's children. We must be very careful that money should not be a very big factor determining for that matter as to whether you're going to vote an individual or not. I think Deputy President William Ruto, being a very good student of the former and late President Moi, just like my brother Douglas Kirimi has mentioned, who used to dish out money. He is trying to use the same tactics because he knew he was with Jirongo, you remember, in the YK92. You remember even when the 500 note was likened to Jirongo, simply because they were used to dishing out money. And they knew Moi could not make it to a re-election without quite giving out money. That's why they're using the same old tactics. But now this time around, trying to brand it in a way that looks like it is more of an empowerment. Miriam, I don't think empowerment needs to be done the way Deputy President William Ruto is doing it. We need people with the tangible approaches and the policies that will be able to make life easy for people and not dishing out money. If you went back and asked the people who are given 2 million shillings, assuming you go to Kondele, we have hundreds of thousands of people who are needy in that particular area, and you're giving out 2 million Kenya shillings. Even if you're to divide these monies, how much will each of those people really get? And what is it that they will be able to do with that money to be able to change their lives and change the lives of those people who depend on them? So this is a fallacy, a big one for that matter, one which the Kenyan people should not actually fall into. They should be very careful to be able to tell leaders who are using money just for the purposes of ascending to power and not necessarily because they want to change their livelihoods and the economic status of this country. Miriam, I submit.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So now that was the same headline on the Daily Nation. Scramble for Ruto cash. Deputy President William Ruto has been dishing out millions of shillings to hustlers in his campaign stops across the country, but the handouts have sometimes led to fights among beneficiaries as they jostle to get a share of the money, and this comes after campaign financing regulations were thrown out of the window, as we started by stating at the beginning of this conversation. So the story is on page 4. Battles for Deputy President William Ruto's campaign handouts are raging as groups jostle for a share, leading to fights that have now caught the attention of national security agencies. Should it concern the Deputy President that this could be a potential security issue in the country, and what should he do differently? Sharon.
Thank you very much, Miriam, for that question. And of course, it should actually, ring a bell, especially for any leader of goodwill and who means, who has actually a good interest to the people at heart and to the poor at heart, as he calls, as he likes to try and identify himself with, the lowest of the cattle in the society. So this should actually ring a bell because why is it that it's only him that in everywhere where he goes, he actually stirs violence with the issue of dishing out handouts. You saw the former Prime Minister go in Eldoret in his own in the Deputy President's own backyard, and it was a very calm campaign. There was so much such a political level playing field. So this should actually ring a bell to him, and probably maybe he should actually change his tactics. But well, they say you cannot teach an old dog new tricks. So I don't know if you would actually put that into consideration. And I'm also trying to understand why the IEBCs and other relevant agencies are quite about this whole matter. And I look at countries like Rwanda, where it's very strict. If you actually caught, dishing out handouts, you actually, disqualified. But this, begs the question of is this IEBC, the Deputy President's mouthpiece, or because they've actually been quiet, and this story has actually been making headlines, for quite a long time now, and it's high time we actually, stop, allowing, politics to be actually capitalized, because even Douglas has mentioned the reason is he could actually not be able to be a leader is because we've actually capitalized our politics, whereby people have we've gotten into a culture for me to actually vote for you in you have something that you have to have something that you're actually bringing up on table, which is quite unfortunate, because what kind of leaders are we going to have? Leaders with questionable leadership, leaders with questionable integrity, simply because they made their way to power, through bribing Kenyans, and it's quite unfortunate. You cannot end up getting incompetent leaders, who have actually a financial muscle that can easily brainwash and easily bribe voters. But we'll keep on preaching this this gospel until it gets down to the grassroots of all the voters to be very keen, even as they listen into different, not just the Deputy President, but to different leaders who are coming to sell their manifestos, because it's actually that is what democracy is all about. But let us get to a point where we can be able to hold these leaders to the highest level of accountability, not just, getting brainwashed, or rather getting into the politics of euphoria, the excitement. Remember, we have these leaders, for 5 years. 5 years is not a short time, and, garbage in, garbage out. So the kind of leaders that we bring in have, so much, they have so much influence, and it's something that us as leaders, us as voters, we should actually be very keen to, even as we listen to them actually giving us empty promises, let us hold them. What have they been? They've been in offices. What have they been able to achieve, and what different are they going to do now that they have been in office? But if they've not been able to achieve that, then why? And what different are they going to, what are they going to bring on the table this time differently? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're looking at the main headline, the story on the Daily Nation that has also been covered on the Standard newspaper about the handouts, especially from DP William Ruto. All other politicians also do the handouts, but DP is the one who seems to be having so much cash to spare. And now, as the DP prepares to visit Meru and Tharaka Nithi counties from today, a similar clash over handouts awaits him. Already, border operators in the two counties have accused politicians of stealing money dished out by the DP, with officials from the Meru Border Association, an organization that brings together 6 SACCOs and hundreds of groups from North Imenti, warning against any attempt by political brokers to shortchange them. MEBA Secretary General Charles Thuranira yesterday said the group was the only legitimate border association in Meru through which leaders can engage riders. The Tharaka Nithi Border Operators Association Chairman Lewis Mutwiri accused Chuka Igamba Ng'ombe MP Patrick Munene of planning to use imposters to receive money from the DP during his tour of the region on Wednesday. And in March, similar clash occurred in Kitengela and Kajiado County as some 7,512 border operators fought over the sharing of 750,000 Kenya shillings that was reportedly given to them by the DP. Picture this, 7,512 border riders. The money that was left is 750,000. Atawish fanya hesabu alafu utaniambia kila mmoja alipata ngapi. And also there was a similar case in Bungoma where greengrocers and border operators in Kandui have complained of being shortchanged over their share of 2 million Kenya shillings contribution the DP handed them during a stopover at Chepkube market 2 weeks ago. So we see disgruntlement, we see. And the constant theme in this is the insecurity that now these monies seems to be raising now. Should that be a concern, Douglas Kirimi, even to the Deputy President himself? Because I'm sure that was perhaps not part of his intention, but it seems as though these monies and handouts are posing a serious security threat.
Miriam, thank you. But we need to also tell Deputy President William Ruto the truth. I've always been telling him on this television and every other medium that whatever people that he meets on his campaign tours, they are going for money. The other day, I was meeting some people in Meru town, and the Meru County Matatu Association members were fighting over the money that was meant for mobilization so that the DP tour will be successful today and tomorrow. But they'll never bring this to the fore and tell the Deputy President that all we need is your money. Today, I think in the newspapers, we have had a write-up that says there is a change of tact for the Deputy President. DP is expected to camp in central Kenya this week, seeking to reclaim lost ground with a new strategy. His handlers say they will use defections, targeted propaganda, and tone down on attacks on presidents to win the hearts of the electorates. And what we also need to tell the Deputy President is he should also increase his kitty, the money that is meant to bribe people and mobilize people around, because people are not even about him to be voted for president. They are going to fight for cash, the money that is meant for mobilization, so that people can go out and meet him. And this is a culture that he cannot be able to break. And I'm very sorry to Deputy President William Ruto that his campaign is crumbling on his face, that without money, people cannot be able to show up. And Miriam, evidence has shown when William Ruto showed up in Muranga without mobilization funds, people, a handful mechanics and a few passers-by came around and said hi to him, and he was very disappointed that he had to dash out of Muranga through Keno. And without a shadow of doubt in my heart, I have to tell Deputy President William Ruto that he can campaign using other mediums like television, radio stations and others without causing the national security threat that is incubating daily with his own tactics and also money tools that he's using to be able to seek his presidential mandate as a president of the Republic of Kenya. Because Miriam, when people have to meet a presidential candidate and some will lose their lives the way a man lost his life in Kisii town when Deputy President was in town. They were fighting over handouts, Miriam. They will never tell us the truth. But the issue is, the other time when he was in Kisumu, someone else lost, some few people, like 3 of them lost their lives through an accident. And Miriam, we need to tell each other the truth that the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya represents a culture and an economy that is spearheaded through handouts, and also a revolution that he calls economic revolution, a revolution that is through handouts and also dishing out of financial favors to the electorate, and that cannot be sustained in the long run, Miriam, because he has no bottomless pocket financial muscles that he can be able to be exhausted. And remember, Miriam, William Ruto is on record saying, when you need financial support, you come to the Deputy President. But when it's time to cast your vote, you vote for Raila Amolo Odinga, and he gives you nothing. He's a stingy man. This brings us to the question, does the William Ruto money count for his own campaign or even to the people of Kenya? It does not even benefit the people of Kenya. Young people are saying politicians are right to Deputy President are taking the money through proxies and stealing it without benefiting the core constituency of people that William Ruto is targeting with these handouts and also these financial empowerment programs. If, for example, the Matatu or Bonda Sacco in Meru or association in Meru, their money is rooted by Mithika Linturi, the Senate of Meru. That money cannot touch the lives of the Bonda people or riders that William Ruto has targeted as his core constituency through these financial handouts programs. But at the end of the day, we need to ask ourselves, does this bring development to the people of Kenya? No. Can we be able to curb it? Yes. Is it necessary that we do it immediately? Yes, because we are getting to an electioneering period where these monies will be fought for in stadiums, in the streets, in the villages, and in the homes. People are going to lose husbands and wives because of monies that was dished by William Ruto, and it has brought an embarrassment maybe to a family member, or maybe to a clan, or maybe to these Bonda leaders, chairmen, and treasurers and secretaries. And Miriam, this is going to cause a lot of havoc in our country, and it is going to bring a lot of security threats to the people of Kenya, to their public good, and to their welfare. I submit, Miriam.
Okay. Now, before I bring you the math, kwa sababu nimecalculate hapo hiyo pesa ilipatia na Kitengela huko, I'll shock you. Now, there was also a similar tussle in Sotik, Bomet County, after the DP donated money to border operators there following a rally in February. The DP's allies have often insisted that the sharing of such funds is dependent on the leaders of the group selected. So that is one factor that determines how that money is selected. And we saw that play out in the news, I think, in February, the money that was given to Boda riders in Bomet County. So I've done the calculation, the money that was given in Kitengela, Kajiado County, sometimes back in March. So 7,512 Boda operators. The money that was given in 750,000 Kenya shillings. So if they were to be given equally, then each will get 99 shillings. Is that how you empower the people, really, Deputy President? Because this has been part of his empowerment agenda. Sharon, 99 shillings.
Thank you very much. Also, so perplexed because I'm even wondering, 99 shillings, can it even buy petrol for, for the borders? I mean, It doesn't even make sense. And this is what we are talking about, sustainable solution. I tend to look at what he actually did in Tito Andei, because there was also that case where two men were actually rescued by the police because they were almost being lynched by the public because of refusing to actually share 1 million that had been, dished by the deputy president. And it is quite unfortunate that if he really has the heart of the people, but from where I sit, I don't understand. I don't know if you saw a photo of a hotel in Nyamira that was written bottom up hotel, and he was actually pictured there taking a photo. But what they forgot to do is that they forgot to rub the dust. It was written by a dust choke. It looked like it was so fresh. So what has it that this was someone's house, and then it was just transformed that day for him to actually go there? Because if you could actually look closely at the photos down there, you would see fresh chalks. So it was like a scheme or a strategy to actually show people how he PR stands that he's now associating directly with the poor at heart, so he can actually go and dine with them in a madhouse. It's quite ridiculous. And I wish, his advisors or his fellow cronies would actually, get to tell him about the reality on the ground. There's a need to actually change the tactics. Let him just walk the talk. Mm-hmm. Handouts will just continue stirring violence. And in the morning we're actually talking about how Kenya is such an island of peace, how we've been able to how the president has been able to single-handedly actually get to diplomatic talks in globally. And part of it is because Kenya is perceived to be a peace and stable country. So could we actually let watch, and let's just watch as the deputy president is studying pre-election violence, because this is how it starts. And if we are not careful, we are going to get into this is just a tip of an iceberg, and we cannot afford to lose the peace, security, and stability that we've had. So they should actually borrow a leaf from what the other leaders have been doing. I've not had them, even if they've been dishing handouts, we've not had them declaring publicly that I've given 4 million, I've given 5 million to Mama Mbogas. Let him do it, privately. Let him actually give them a sustainable solution, not just, just feeding them for that day. We know these borders, most of them will actually just go
99 shillings. Can it feed
99 they will drinking this cheap liquor, where does 99 shillings, with this kind of an economy, if it's someone who really means good to the interest of people at large, it doesn't add up. I don't know. But from where I sit, I don't think it actually adds up.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that was less than $1 that those border riders from Kitengela, no wonder they were fighting, had to get after distributing within themselves the 750,000 Kenya shillings, because there were about 7,512 border riders there. And you brought up the issue of that, bottom-up hotel in Kisii, and a lot of Kenyans had so much to say about that, and they thought, a section of Kenyans thought DP is glorifying poverty. I don't know if that is the case, but Samuel Tawish, Douglas has brought up the issue of perhaps finding a way to curb the donations, or without targeting anybody, because we know all our politicians do give out handouts. It's only that others maybe have different ways of giving it and announcing it, but notice how the DP goes about it that causes a lot of chaos and all these things we see. So is there a way that this can be curbed to ensure that it does not become, one, a security threat? And also we saw the loss of, the damage of properties and what happened in Kisumu, and also just to give our security agencies an easy time, when these politicians show up in their rallies across the country. Is there something that can be done?
Well, Miriam, the handouts, regardless of who gives it, is something that must be discouraged. It's something that must be fought with all the zeal necessary. Miriam, I'm saying so because if left unchecked, then, like I've told you, it's going to be very dangerous for this country, especially as we head into 2022 general election. I'm quite surprised. In fact, my colleague panelists were giving scenarios and giving examples of instances where Deputy President has given out money. If you were to take, for example, a case of Mtito Andei, where the Deputy President allegedly gave, was it 1 million Kenya shillings to the commercial sex workers? If that was the case, I will imagine, assuming maybe these people who are 100, these ladies are about 100 in their number in Mtito Andei, then everybody will end up getting 1,000 shillings. I do not understand 1,000 shillings. What will someone be able to do sustainably with 1,000 shillings? And leave alone that, if you are to go back to Mtito Andei today, yes, 1 million shillings was given out to commercial sex workers in that place, allegedly or presumably to empower them.
See,
you want to tell me that we do not have
it was structured, because I think he gave to their circle.
Mm-hmm. It is okay. It is okay. It was given to their circle.
No, they didn't have
the intent
well,
sorry,
well,
they didn't have a circle.
Then I don't have the details of the story. Okay.
Before I lose my thought of what I'm trying to say, Miriam, the point is, if you're to go back to Mtito Andei today, I think that is the bottom line. Ask yourself this question. Mm-hmm. Will you still find the commercial sex workers in Mtito Andei or not? That's the question, because we want to give solutions, permanent for that matter, for the problems that people are facing. That is the question. Yes, it was given to the circle. The Deputy President said, I'm giving them this money so that they're able to earn a decent living, so that they're able to get out of our streets, really to do this other business that people frown upon. Mm-hmm. So the question is, do we have still these ladies in the streets of Mtito Andei or not? I do not also understand why Deputy President William Ruto cannot go all the way up to Eldoret in Uasin Gishu, particularly in, they call it Oginga Odinga Street, where it is also notorious when it comes to the sex workers in Eldoret town. Mm-hmm. I haven't heard him actually, or even seen him go to those places and give out money to allegedly empower these ladies, or even any other part of this country, Miriam. It is not only in Mtito Andei, and I think that what Deputy President William Ruto is trying to do is trying to brand himself as a savior, more so to the downtrodden in the society, people who are struggling with their lives. He's trying to use this as a bait to hoodwink the people of Kenya, more so the vulnerable, really into voting him in, without knowing that this is not a man who can offer solution. He has had an opportunity as a deputy president for the last 9 years. He's not been able to do all these empowerment projects that he's carrying and moving around with in the country. But now, because he's aspiring to become president, he's coming out with the same money. Whose source is still suspicious. We do not know where he gets this money, giving out to people allegedly trying to empower them. This is something that is must be stopped, Miriam. Mm-hmm. Another thing, and why I think it must be stopped, is because what will stop Deputy President William Ruto? Say, for example, using this money even to bribe election officials. You know, we're not thinking in that direction. He may end up even bribing some election officials, if not all of them. He may end up even bribing Supreme Court judges, if not all, a section of them, if not all of them. Yes, we head into 2022 general election. So that even because it's IEBC which manages election, you can quite see the confidence that the guy has. They usually say the characteristics of money is that it is scarce. And scarce as it is, Miriam, when it is available, then it is likely going to attract people, especially those who do not have it. So what will bar these people from taking this money, assuming the deputy president promises 1 billion Kenya shillings to every of the election officials, money that they will not even get if they were to work at IEBC the rest of the remaining time on earth, even if they were to take loans, even if they were to do what, they will not get that money. So what will stop them from compromising this election? They say an election must be free and fair and credible, Miriam. The election cannot be free, fair when someone is using money to induce voters, when you're giving money in the name of empowerment, yet we know it's bribery. When you see crowds pulling in Deputy President William Ruto's events, it's not because they like Deputy President William Ruto so much. One, you must get to understand that people get there because they know the Deputy President William Ruto gives out money. He got deep pockets and he will give out the money. So they will go there in their interest groups and say, this is what we have. Some of them carry wheelbarrows, as you usually see them do it. It does not just happen coincidentally. These are things that people plan. When they know the DP is coming around, you will see branded wheelbarrows. And someone gets into those wheelbarrows, they carry him up, and the Deputy President William Ruto says, I've heard you, I've seen you, I'm going to empower you so that you can get more wheelbarrows. So people have known tactics. They have developed these tactics of getting money from the Deputy President, William Ruto. He will be shocked when we get to the vote, Miriam, 2022 August, when the people of Kenya eventually go to the ballot to elect their leader, especially the president, because the same crowds he's pulling, he should not mistake them for the votes. Their people just get there because they are so much excited and they're anticipating that he's going to dish out these monies for them. But be that as it may, the most important thing is that this voter bribery must be stopped now, and those who are perpetuating it must be brought to book. I submit.
Thank you, Tawish. And you brought up the issue of that empowerment in Mutito and Day. And you said there's a possibility those ladies are still there operating in, whatever it is that they do. Perhaps we need to send you. You are our field correspondent and find out. Your pesa ilifanya, are they still there?
Sure. I'll make arrangements. In fact, not only in Mutito and Day. I think we should now be able as media to go out there and reach out to people, these groups that the DP has been dishing out money, at least to try and carry out a survey and feedback to get to understand how this money has been able to change their lives. Exactly.
Very well, thank you so much. Douglas Kirimi, ended for us. You brought up the issue of there should be a way to regulate how monies are dished out to the public and curb the manner in which even it's being given, that is now raising a lot of issues. And what would you suggest how this should be carried out?
Miriam, thank you. Where I'm seated outside my office, and 6 kilometers from here, it's my hometown Kobo, where people are fighting over handouts from William Ruto for mobilization. About 15 kilometers from where I'm seated, William Ruto is about to make a speech, and people have run very unruly, and they are declaring the meeting untenable, and also they are declaring William Ruto persona non grata in their area because a monument for mobilization has been eaten in court, has been taken away or stolen by the member of parliament and his proxies, and people are becoming very unrest in these areas. And also I've seen the car that belongs to Deputy President William Ruto being pushed out of the road by angry voters who are telling William Ruto that he needs to give them handouts the way he's been giving out to other people, and also to the people that he gave money for mobilization. And this brings us to the question that if these people can get to where the car that is ferrying William Ruto is, and also try some stone throwing at the car and every other tactic that they can to attract the William Ruto hand of compassion that is full of handouts, so that they can be able to at least uplift their economic status maybe for a day or two with the small handouts that he shall be able to dish out to them. And this brings me to the question that you have asked. The other day, before I answer you, the other day he was in Kisumu County, where the car that he made this speech was a stone thrown at, and also windows were broken, and that car was side mirrors were broken, and the car was vandalized by the same voters in Kisumu County that were waiting for Deputy President William Ruto. I think it's about time the National Security Council of the Republic of Kenya convenes a meeting that also includes the Deputy President William Ruto, and it speaks to him the effect of these people coming all the way and causing havoc into his own campaign rallies and all that, so that Miriam, we can be able to bring William Ruto to book at the individual himself. We cannot use the county commissioners to stop the people. We cannot use the police, the regional police commander. We cannot use the county police commander. We cannot use the regional commanders, the regional commissioners to stop this madness. We need to engage the Deputy President William Ruto himself, and also engage him on the basis of national security threat, because the vehicle that William Ruto is on now, people are throwing stone at it, and people are causing havoc in his own meetings. And this, Miriam, brings us to the question, is William Ruto becoming a national security threat? Yes. If many people are shot today in Meru, or tomorrow, or any other day in his convoys, when they try disrupting his convoys for handouts, when these people are shot, maybe 10 or 15 of them, it becomes a national disaster. If William Ruto, by bad luck, God forbid, is shot by an angry anti-Ruto supporter who is going to shoot him, and we are told the Deputy President William Ruto was shot in Meru when people are fighting for handouts, it's going to bring a lot of problems to this country, Miriam. I think it's about time the National Security Council of the Republic of Kenya that is headed by President Uhuru Kenyatta as the Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces of the Republic of Kenya, comes to the fore and engages William Ruto directly without engaging anyone else, because this is the root cause of all problems that we are encountering even across this country, Miriam. Because a peaceful people like in Meru, who are demonstrating now because of handouts. People cannot go to their farms, people cannot go to their shops, people cannot go to the market, people cannot go anywhere. This very Monday morning, fighting, this very Monday afternoon, fighting for handouts because a leader is promising them handouts, or maybe a leader gave out handouts, Miriam. It is the National Security Council at this juncture that can be able to contain Dr. William Ruto's forays in the region and across the country, and be able to contain these handouts that he is dishing to the people and these groups, Miriam. And remember, he is giving them cash. He's not giving them checks, he's giving them liquid cash, and this is going to bring a lot of problems in the region and especially to our people. William Ruto should be stopped, and he can only be stopped by the president himself. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Miriam, just a quick one before you conclude the show. I think there's something that the media has not brigaded as much. I don't know if you've seen that his PA is actually has been airlifted. I think he's in Germany receiving specialized treatment. He had an accident, but word has it that he was actually, he was coming from Migori, and he was running away from a mob, from Migori for having failed to actually give the money that he had actually promised the people there. So he was actually involved in a fatal accident. If you look at the photos, it's quite chaotic. So I think if he really doesn't care about the people at large, he should actually see into such issues, because right now the man is actually, it's a matter of life and death. So it's quite critical.
Okay, I did not have that information. Thank you so much for that, Sharon Gitonga. And of course, we shall come back tomorrow with more news on that, and perhaps the papers will have it tomorrow, or perhaps we'll see it in the news. I don't know. But thank you so much, Sharon Gitonga, Samuel Tawish, and Douglas Kirimi. This has been the People's Court. I shall be with you here at 3 p.m. East African time to bring you the latest news from across the continent. My name is Miriam Ogutu. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye for now.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.